Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going all the way back to the 60s to explore the incredible story of the Beatles and how they became such a global phenomenon. We've got some research and articles all about their journey, how they went from a small town to global superstardom.
It really is an amazing story, isn't it?
It is, and, I think we're all in for some aha moments as we learn more. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start with the basics. How did a band from Liverpool completely transform music and culture forever?
Yeah, good question. What's fascinating is that their journey, well, it wasn't all sunshine and roses, was it?
Now that you mention it, no, not at all. In fact, I was surprised to learn just how much resistance they faced early on. It's almost unbelievable that so many record labels actually turned them down. What was it about their sound that was considered too radical for the time?
Well, to understand that, you have to think about the music scene back then. It was the late 1950s, early 1960s. Traditional pop and jazz were everywhere. Even rock and roll was still trying to find its place.
Right.
The Beatles, with their raw energy and unique sound, they really shook things up.
And it wasn't just the music. I mean, those haircuts, the clothes, they were making a statement even before they struck a chord.
Absolutely. Their visual style was a rebellion against the clean-cut conservative image of the time. They weren't just playing music, they were embodying a cultural shift, one that some people weren't quite ready for.
It makes you wonder, how did they even get a start if everyone kept shutting them down? It's like trying to launch a rocket in a hurricane.
Well, they found an unlikely training ground, Hamburg's red light district. Night after night, they honed their skills playing marathon sets in these gritty, rowdy clubs.
Wow. Talk about a trial by fire. Do you think that experience was crucial to their development?
Without a doubt. Imagine playing for hours on end, trying to win over sometimes difficult crowds. It forced them to develop that raw energy, their stage presence, and an incredibly tight musical connection. Hamburg was their crucible, forging them into the band they became.
Okay, so they come back to Liverpool, battle-tested and ready to take on the world. But still, no record deal. Makes you wonder if they ever got discouraged.
That's where Brian Epstein enters the picture. He owned a local record store and, thankfully, saw something special in the Beatles that everyone else seemed to miss. He became their manager.
It's like a classic underdog story, isn't it? Just when you think all hope is lost, someone comes along and believes in them. What was it about Epstein that made him so successful in getting them that record deal?
He had a vision. He knew they needed some polishing to appeal to the record companies. He helped refine their image, making them more presentable, and ultimately secured a deal with Parlophone.
But even then, I imagine there were still doubters.
Oh, absolutely. Plenty of people within the industry thought they were just a fad, a flash in the pan.
Which, of course, turned out to be hilariously wrong. And one of the things that makes their story so inspiring is that their success wasn't instant. They worked incredibly hard, they honed their skills, and they never stopped evolving.
That's a vital lesson for all of us, I think. Talent alone isn't enough.
Yeah.
You need dedication, resilience, and the ability to adapt. The Beatles embraced all of those qualities.
And boy, did their music evolve. I mean, you listen to their early stuff and it's great, but then you get to Rubber Soul, Revolver, and then S.G. Peppers, which absolutely blew everyone's minds.
Oh, yeah. S.G. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
It seemed like they were constantly experimenting, pushing the boundaries of what music could be.
Their willingness to experiment is remarkable.
Yeah.
S.G. Pepper's was truly revolutionary. It wasn't just a pop album. It was an experience. The orchestral arrangements, the use of tape loops, those lyrics that were like surreal poetry. They were pushing the limits of what could be done in a recording studio, and they were doing it at the height of their fame. That takes serious guts and an unwavering commitment to their artistic vision.
And of course, I have to ask you about the Lennon-McCartney songwriting partnership. What do you think made their collaboration so successful?
I think it was the magic of their contrasting personalities and songwriting styles. Lennon, with his raw emotion and edginess, and McCartney, with his melodies and gift for those perfect pop hooks.
It's almost like they completed each other's musical sentences, and you can see their incredible range from the heartbreaking beauty of Yesterday to the anthemic power of Hey Jude. But they weren't the only songwriting talents in the band. What about George Harrison? His songs are often overlooked, but they're brilliant.
Absolutely. Something and Here Comes the Sun are just two examples of his ability to create songs that are both beautiful and deeply meaningful. His contributions to the Beatles catalog are essential.
So their music was evolving, their songwriting was maturing, but I think it was their appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show that really catapulted them into superstardom.
Oh, without a doubt. That performance was a cultural earthquake. An estimated 73 million people tuned in.
Ah.
Almost unimaginable today. It felt like the entire country was captivated by these four young men from Liverpool.
And that's when Beatlemania exploded. It went beyond just the music. It became a full-blown cultural phenomenon.
You're right. Suddenly, it was about the haircuts, the clothes, the attitude. They became icons of youth culture, rebellion, and change.
And even at the height of Beatlemania, they never stopped evolving as musicians. They kept experimenting, exploring new sounds, which is how they remained relevant and influential. Did they ever worry about alienating their fans by changing their style so much?
This constant evolution is one of the most remarkable things about them. They could have easily churned out the same formulaic pop songs and remained incredibly successful, but they didn't. They kept pushing themselves, challenging themselves, and in doing so, they challenged the entire music industry.
So, in your opinion, what would you say is the most important takeaway about the Beatles' legacy? What makes them stand out, even decades later?
It's a combination of their innovation, their cultural relevance, and their ability to break down barriers. They weren't just making music, they were changing the world, one song at a time.
And that's something that still resonates with people today. Their music transcends generations. It feels timeless. I hope you're starting to see why their story is so captivating.
It's a story about talent, hard work, and the courage to challenge conventions. It's a reminder that sometimes the most radical ideas are the ones that change the world.
That's a great point. We'll have to explore that idea a little further. But first, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more on the Beatles' incredible journey. It really is a reminder that sometimes the most radical ideas are the ones that change the world.
Yeah, they really were pioneers.
But their impact, it wasn't limited to music, was it?
Not at all. It extended to fashion, hairstyles,
Yeah.
even social activism. They became symbols of youth culture and a voice for a generation that was yearning for change.
It's incredible how they captured the spirit of the time. Do you think their working-class background played a role in their ability to connect with such a broad audience?
Absolutely. They came from humble beginnings, and I think that resonated with people. They weren't these untouchable figures. They were relatable, approachable. They made it seem like anyone could achieve their dreams.
Their journey really is about defying expectations. No one could have predicted that four lads from Liverpool would have such a profound impact on the world.
It's true. And they weren't afraid to use their platform to speak out about things they believed in, whether it was peace, love, or social justice. They challenged social norms, pushed boundaries, and inspired others to think differently.
It's that fearlessness, that willingness to experiment that I think really resonates with people, especially those in creative fields.
It's a powerful message to take risks, try new things, push the boundaries of what's considered acceptable. The Beatles showed us that it's okay to be different, to be unconventional, and to stay true to your vision, even when faced with resistance.
It's about having the courage to break the mold and create your own path. And they did it with such grace, such humor. You can hear it in their music, see it in their interviews.
Their music had an incredible ability to connect with people on an emotional level. Their songs were catchy, yes, but they also dealt with universal themes: love, loss, hope, the search for meaning. They weren't afraid to be vulnerable, to express their doubts and fears, and that's what made them so relatable.
It's that authenticity, that honesty that I think is sometimes missing in today's music scene.
There's often this focus on image, on production, on being cool, but the Beatles, they were just themselves. And that's what made them so special. They weren't trying to be anything other than who they were, and that resonated with millions of people around the world.
They gave people permission to be themselves, to embrace their individuality, and their music continues to inspire new generations of artists. You can hear their influence in so many different genres today.
It's a testament to the enduring power of their music. They created something truly timeless, something that speaks to the human spirit regardless of age, culture, or background.
I love that. And it's a message that's as relevant today as it was back then. We live in a world where there's so much pressure to conform, to fit in, but the Beatles reminded us that it's okay to stand out, to be unique, to celebrate what makes us different, it's what makes us human.
Their legacy is extraordinary. They left an indelible mark on the world.
And their music will continue to be enjoyed and celebrated for generations to come. But beyond their musical legacy, I'm curious, what do you think is the most significant impact they had on society?
It's hard to choose just one, but I think their biggest contribution was their role in shaping youth culture and giving a voice to a generation that was ready for change. They challenged the status quo, broke down barriers, and inspired people to embrace individuality and creativity.
And that's a message that continues to resonate today. We're all searching for our place in the world, trying to figure out who we are and what we believe in. The Beatles showed us that it's okay to be different, to question authority, and to fight for what we believe is right. They reminded us that we all have a voice and that we can use it to make a difference. It's amazing how their music could be both deeply personal and universally relatable at the same time.
It really is. It's a rare gift.
And even with all their fame and success, they never seem to lose sight of their roots.
That's true.
They always stay true to themselves, which I think is another reason why their music has stood the test of time.
Yeah, it's that authenticity that continues to draw us in. They were just four ordinary guys who achieved extraordinary things.
And their story reminds us that we all have the potential to make a difference in the world.
Exactly.
Speaking of believing in yourself, I'm reminded of how many times they were rejected early in their career.
Oh, yeah.
It's a testament to their perseverance.
It is.
They faced countless setbacks, but they never lost faith in their music.
It's inspiring.
It's a valuable lesson for all of us, really. Success is often the result of hard work, dedication, and a refusal to give up.
And a little bit of luck along the way doesn't hurt either.
That's true. But even with all the luck in the world, you still need that talent and drive to make it happen.
Absolutely. The Beatles had all of that and more.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the Beatles' incredible journey, their impact on music and culture, and the reasons why their legacy continues to resonate with us.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It really has, and I'm so grateful that you could join us for this exploration.
It's always a pleasure to delve into the world of the Beatles.
And before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought. How has the Beatles' music personally influenced you? Perhaps a particular song that's touched your heart, a moment in their career that sparked your interest, or even a way in which their message of individuality and creativity has inspired you. Take a moment to reflect on that, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.